His attorney says Michael Cohen is now postponing his testimony before the House Oversight Committee, which was scheduled for February 7th, because of ongoing threats to his family from President Trump and Rudy Giuliani. Joining me now, NBC News Chief White House Correspondent Hallie Jackson joins me. Hallie, what more can you tell us?
Well, Chris, we know that there have been rumblings for the last couple of weeks that perhaps Michael Cohen would not show up as expected in front of that committee on February 7th. I just got off the phone with a rep for Cohen, an advisor, and Lanny Davis, who is formerly Cohen's lawyer, confirms that, in fact, he will be postponing that testimony. Here's what Davis says, that Mr. Cohen volunteered to testify before the House Oversight Committee, as we mentioned, in early February. But due to ongoing threats against his family from President Trump and from Rudy Giuliani, that's a reference to the president's attorney, as recently as this weekend, as well as Mr. Cohen's continued cooperation with ongoing investigations, by advice of counsel, we're told Mr. Cohen's appearance will be postponed to a later date. The door is open, Chris, for Cohen to come back and to testify. But in this statement, it says this is a time where Mr. Cohen had to put his family and their safety first. So back up and some context here. We have spoken with folks. I spoke to one source close to Michael Cohen. Our team here at NBC News has spoken with others who, over the last several weeks, have indicated that Michael Cohen's family had felt particularly concerned about some of the comments coming from Donald Trump and some of these tweets. You might remember there was that interview over the weekend with Judge Jeanine Pirro on Fox News, in which President Trump raised the specter of Michael Cohen's father-in-law rather vaguely, and to some it was interpreted as rather threateningly as well. That was something that played a factor in this. Our own Chuck Todd spoke with Lanny Davis, who is close with Michael Cohen, just last week, and Davis was emphatic and nearly emotional when he talked about you have to put family first. Family should be out of bounds when it comes to this kind of thing. There have been a series of tweets from President Trump over the last several weeks, even before that, that have been read by some observers as potentially trying to intimidate Cohen, who promised, remember, to reveal, according to what we were told by sources close to him, dirty deeds, quote unquote, from Donald Trump when he did go and speak publicly about this. Chris, can't overstate enough what I don't want to call it a spectacle, but how high profile this hearing was going to be. This was nationally televised. It was public. It was in front of members of Congress. It was going to be kind of this really big moment on Capitol Hill here in Washington. But that is not going to happen as planned on February 7th. Here's what we don't know yet. I don't know, and our House Capitol Hill team might, whether or not the Congressional Committee, the House Oversight Committee, has been formally notified of this yet, whether they were previously notified before this statement went out to the media. But that is one thing we're working to nail down as we also wait for when the new date begins. Remember, Michael Cohen is heading behind bars, Chris, for the crimes that he has admitted to committing. And so there is kind of a time clock on this one, right? The countdown clock is on for Cohen to appear before Congress before he ends up in prison.
Yeah, I just want to let you know that we just got this statement from Katy Tur, our colleague, who says a source close to Cohen has told her that his wife and father-in-law are particularly scared. They feel directly targeted by the president. The threats are real, the source told Katy. Trump knows what he's doing. The wife was scared about physically showing up to the hearing. She thought she could get hurt. And I think it's worth pointing out, correct me if I'm wrong, Michael Cohen was doing this voluntarily. He was not going before the committee.
That's correct.
Under a subpoena. So now we'll have to see what the committee decides it wants to do, whether they could speak with him privately, whether they make it not nationally televised, although he made it clear that he wanted to be able to talk publicly.
And that was the point, right?
Yeah.
It was to get his story out. Now, that reporting that you just read, and thank you for that, does sync with what we have been hearing along those lines for the last several weeks, really, as it relates to this. And it looks like, and forgive me for looking at my phone, that our Hill team is all over this as well, with Elijah Cummings, who chairs that committee. So clearly, this got to be too much for Michael Cohen and his family. And initially, while the indication had been that he would definitively testify. In fact, he told Elijah Cummings, the congressman told NBC News, I think it was a week ago, he told our own Mike Memoli that he had just spoken with Cohen the day before and that Cohen was 100% going to testify. Obviously, that has changed over the last, 7 to 10 days at this point, Chris, with these continued tweets and these comments from President Trump as it relates to Michael Cohen's family. So TBD on when we might see him back on the Hill, if that happens at all now down the road.
Hey, MSNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. now. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there and click on any of the videos here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up now.